Welcome back to the Nerdcore Podcast, the podcast that reviews the movies and talks that nerd shit. This is episode 398, and it is your Saturday morning review. And as always, live on Twitch on a Thursday, twitch.tv/the Nerdcore, and available early for patrons at patreon.com/the Nerdcore. And as always, the Nerd Chicano here to host the show, alongside my wonderful co-host, Young Yoda.
What's up, everybody?
What's going on?
That's all I got.
That's all
I
you
got
got
for today. That's all I got.
Huh?
That's all I got for today. I don't.
All
have
right, roll
anything.
credits.
That's all, folks.
Yeah, quite the past couple of days, right?
Yeah, for sure. If you like chaos and coups and drunk rednecks, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, like, let's go ahead and just kick off with the review, right? But, like, we're not a network that doesn't shy away from discussing the things that need to be discussed, right? You know.
Usually we try not to discuss politics, but, this one's kind of a difficult thing because, yeah.
Well, yeah.
We almost lost democracy right there. We definitely tarnished it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we discussed, there are moments that, us, how can I say this without, stepping on myself? Yes, we are a form of entertainment that is aimed to make sure that you all have a distraction from the world and make sure that you all have especially during this hellish pandemic. While you all are staying in those homes, we hope that we can be a voice we can be a soft voice in your ears that could help you get through at least an hour to two of your day. And we hope that we can provide that for you. But we're also not tone deaf to the things that are happening in our world. And, I at least on this show, I always say, I don't want to discuss these things unless they, mean that unless they tie into the films that we're discussing, because then I feel like we can just go into a big tangent. But there are also just moments that we cannot stay silent about. As we know, we did that during the summer. We refused to stay silent when the murder of George Floyd happened, and our nation woke up, and the rage that was being felt by the American people was finally being listened to an extent, because we've been seeing as of late for a lack of a better word, the absolute bullshit that has been going down with that, because the cops who murdered Breonna Taylor are not going to jail; they're just being fired. The cops who killed Jacob Blake, they're just getting a slap on the wrist. They're not being prosecuted. So there are moments like last summer that there was no option but to speak up, and that is what we have to do today when discussing what happened yesterday on Wednesday, January 5th January 6th of the year 2020. If any of you all are already trying to close off your podcast app because you don't want to hear this, I mean, go ahead. It's my fucking platform. I can use it for whatever the fuck I please. But you are either way more blind than I am, and I'm visually impaired, to see that yesterday was an attempted coup by a loud minority in this nation. For the first time since 1813, people broke into the Capitol. And
they really didn't break in. They were kind of just let in.
No, they let them in.
Tour group.
Yeah. No. It was a nice family reunion. It was a nice family reunion.
Everybody's cousins.
Yeah. But for the first time since 1813, and let that sink in, y'all. Like, we always kind of discuss the fact that America isn't, the United States of America is not a old nation. I mean,
no, it's quite quite
It's
new, built on very, very
yeah,
new principles.
yeah. It's not a Kosovo, but it's a new country.
And it's not a China, it's not a France.
No, but yesterday, the absolute ugliness of the underbelly of this country was shown to us on our television screens and our phones, and we witnessed the absolute disgust of people trying to destroy the basically the outline of this country and try to have our election process be, you know, stopped and have democracy be undermined. And I have my thoughts on electoral politics, and those are my views. But as a son of, immigrants who came over to this country because they thought that this was the country that they never thought they would see something like this. You know, um, it was quite a sight to see yesterday that the United States of America is basically nothing short of a third world country.
Yeah, I want to know what we're spending trillions of dollars in defense for.
Yeah, what would you spend trillions of dollars in fucking defense for if it can barely? But then again, remember, it's hard to get into it's hard to stay out of the house when your family's opening the door right for you. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's basically what it is. It's hard to get into the house when those who are supposed to protect you are taking selfies with the aggressors. And it's try could have sworn I saw some Nicolas Cage looking guy walking out with the deck.
It's
Yesterday was
that
one
easy. It's that
that
easy.
easy. It's
And
that easy.
now I'm questioning why we didn't go into Area 51.
Yeah,
Like, like all the white people could have just walked right in.
yeah.
Just
And
saying.
if you truly believe, and this is where I might lose some of y'all, and I really don't care. I don't care. You can. Our Twitters are the Nerdy Chicano and Random Germ 101. If what I'm about to say makes you unfollow us, the Nerdcore underscore. If what makes you unfollow us or makes you stop listening to this show or you cancel your subscription, I could really give less than a single fuck. If you believe that their whiteness has nothing to play into the fact that they were able to go in there without a scratch, you know, then you've got a lot of cognitive dissonance, and there is a lot of work for you to,
Yeah,
to do.
yeah. Where was the tear gas and the rubber bullets?
Yeah, where the tear
Just
gas and
just
rubber bullets.
wondering.
It's always used on black and brown folk, but people that look like Brad and look like me at times, even though I have the white passing, and I have the privilege of walking out and not being able to hit like that. Where is the violence that is met with? Where is the violence that is given to black and brown bodies that isn't given to white folk when to Anglos when they walk into the Capitol? So I want to say first of all, whatever happened yesterday, it stopped it for a couple of hours, but our process, our election process went through. It was still able to happen. What pretty much what it was pretty much just to instill fear. And to be fair, that's what it always was meant to
What
be.
kind of what it did to the Congress people anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, Vice President and the Republicans finally found some balls and
yeah,
testicular fortitude there.
yeah. And shame on
Um,
you all. Shame on you all.
they're the one through all these years who have caused this,
Yeah, yeah. You've caused this. You've enabled it. You've allowed for this to happen, and you finally found your fucking balls.
and that's no pat on the back. That's
And that's no pat on the back. You've done the bare minimum,
yeah.
And as we continue on with the show, I just want to go ahead and just first of all, my thoughts are with my BIPOC brothers and sisters and non-binary folk in this country who have to once again listen to people say this is not our country, this is not who we are. But we knew damn well that this is our country. This is the country that stole land from an indigenous people that were here before anybody else was. This is a country that murdered thousands and thousands of indigenous people and claimed their land as theirs. And when there was no room to help them, they stuck them in reservations and pretty much left them to fight for themselves. This is once again also the nation that interned Japanese people during World War II. This was the nation that deported Mexican citizens, U.S. citizens, because they believed that they were from Mexico. U.S. Latino citizens, because they believed they were from Mexico during the 20s. Because, well, they had to be the reason for the Great Depression that was happening. And once again, this is the nation that murders and allows for the killers of innocent black men and black women in the streets. So, you know, if you all tonight, the only thing we can truly do was just keep moving forward. But most importantly, I would tell you to please check on your black, indigenous, people of color friends, because right now is the time, especially all of y'all who had BLM in your bios, who were staying real silent during this week. It's that time to get your phone out and call one of your friends to find out how they're doing. You want to say anything before we get out of here? And we get out of here. We move on to our discussion on the film.
Yeah, I'm glad to have a new president.
And I have a new president, yeah. And here's the hope that this one isn't a dumbass like the last one.
I mean, I figure he'll probably he'll probably serve the 4 years, and that'd be about it.
Yep.
Just based on age. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can get a more progressive one in there. But
Yep.
the likelihood of that, it's still kind of slim. Probably be another old white guy.
Oh, another old white guy. But there's a lot of work to be done here. A lot of work. So, with that being said, let's get ready to talk about a movie that discusses the failures of capitalism. And
It really, yeah,
yeah,
about.
the failures of capitalism. Yep. All right, let's get this going, Brad. Today we are discussing Nomadland from director Chloe Zhao from this last year. If you all have never seen Nomadland, which is probably a lot of y'all, chances are you don't want to listen to this show because you don't want to get spoiled. But if you don't care about spoilers, you can go ahead and keep listening. Either way, how it goes, your spoiler warning is in effect in a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I can't play my damn stream
Hee
deck.
hee hee. Mer.
No, not First Cow. Um, Nomadland is a 2020 American independent contemporary Western drama film directed, written, edited, and co-produced by Chloe Zhao. It is based on the 2017 nonfiction book Nomadland, Surviving America in the 21st Century by Jessica Bruder, and stars Frances McDormand, who also produced the film, as a woman who leaves her small town to travel around the American West. It also features David Stratham, as well as the real life nomads Linda May, Charlene Swanky, and Bob Wells as fictionalized versions of themselves. Nomadland premiered on September 11, 2020 at the Venice Film Festival, where it won the Golden Lion. That is the highest award you can win at Venice during that film festival. It also won the People's Choice Award at the Toronto International Film Festival, also the highest award that you can win at the Toronto International Film Festival. And I'm sure that this would have won the Cannes Palme d'Or if Cannes would have happened last year. Making it the first film to ever win the top prize at both Venice and Toronto. It began a 1 week only streaming release on December 4th, 2020, and is scheduled to be theatrically released in the United States on February 19, 2021 by Searchlight Pictures. All right. Let me just go ahead and get everybody, Brad. So it is shot by Joshua James Richards. The music is done by Ludovico El Nuadi. El Nuadi? I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. And surprisingly enough, I'm sorry. It has a runtime of about an hour and 48 minutes. And surprisingly enough, Brad, a budget of $4 to $8 million.
That's not too surprising.
Yeah,
It's basically a
I
van.
would, I would think it'd be a lot, but it pretty much all of that. Yeah, it's pretty much all that. And of course, what's it called? Distributed by the former Fox Searchlight, now Searchlight Pictures. So,
Owned and operated by Disney.
Owned and operated by Disney. So, um, wow. So my friends, if you have been following, the award season trackings, or just you follow anybody who is in hashtag film Twitter, you know that for a fact that this has been touted as the second coming of cinematic Jesus, right? Everybody's been talking Nomadland, Nomadland, Nomadland. They've been saying Frances McDormand's going to win that Best Actress. Frances McDormand this. Chloe Zhao needs to get Best Director. Um, and after watching this film, I have quite a bit of things to praise it for. But overall, I think that this film was just fine. It was good. There was nothing really incredible about it. The direction and cinematography are beautiful. I mean, there are moments that Chloe Zhao really stays on to really, you know, um, concentrate on, which are necessary. But there are also moments that Chloe Zhao is really dragging the story for a bit too much. And I'm gonna be real honest here, with no disrespect to the legendary actress that is Frances McDormand, because she is an incredible actress and one of the best ever. I think her performance was fine too. It was nothing too incredible. Um, I think those around her, like Swanky and everybody else who was surrounding her, were amazing. Like those were people that I was clinging on more and more. Where I found myself being way more detached from Fern.
Hmm.
Brad, what did you think about Nomadland?
I kind of have the same opinion. I really thought the pacing felt kind of slow in places, but um, just to give some praise to it,
Yeah,
there are portions of cinematography that are just beautiful in this film.
yeah.
The
I'm sure
shots,
that
the
this is all.
colors.
I'm sure that this is all natural lighting, and if anything, probably some mist filters on the camera.
Hmm.
Like what's it called? You know what I mean by not filters like in Instagram stuff. I'm talking like the actual things that you put in front of the lens, trying to get that misty feel to it. Because there were a couple of shots where I was like, yeah, this has to have like a polarizer or a filter on it. But this was very natural lighting, I think.
Yeah, and also framing in certain instances was really great. Um, and I kind of agree with you. Frances McDormand, I mean, she was good, but
Yeah.
she didn't really like, because the when the movie was just on her, it felt very slow. It was her relationships that she was in this movie that really got my attention.
Hmm.
Like you said, with Swanky and then with Linda May, um,
Yeah.
especially those two. I was more drawn to when she had these relationships with her. But this story is basically about a woman who has pushed everyone away
Yeah.
because her husband died and she doesn't know, really how
How,
to go on anymore. Which is the title, Nomadland. She's a nomad. She roams from job to job, and she doesn't even keep her stuff. She gives it away like almost whenever she's about to leave.
yeah.
And that's really what I mean, this movie really gives that sense of her just being by herself, and also kind of, it feels like a little PTSD of having lost her husband,
Hmm.
especially in the Thanksgiving scene where she just, at the very end, she just gets so anxious she just has to
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah. Um, who else was it? I think it was Bob, right?
Yeah, the
Not
the male in the film,
the chunkier man
organized by
who,
Bob Wells. Oh, with the beard.
yeah, who probably one of the most heartbreaking moments as he's describing to her her son who his son who killed himself.
Yeah, that scene
Oh,
right there was both haunting and terrific in a way.
just I mean, so I watched this one and Minati in the same day, and this like when that moment happens in this film with him, I was just like, oh, God. Like I'm telling you, everybody who she surrounds herself with brings more of like a very human performance than
Well, because they're
they're
real.
real. Yeah, they're real.
I'm sure that story by Bob was real, and your stories with Linda May of how she's going to build her house in Arizona and have all her kids visit, and she can visit, and you just feel like it's so real and genuine how she is, and just how
Hmm.
loving she is. And when she leaves, you really feel like a sense of loss with Frances, because like that's like her mother leaving basically.
Yeah.
And then with Swanky, just that whole relationship right there, where Swanky's kind of the crotchety old woman, but then you get that story of how she has terminal cancer and only so
Hmm.
many months to leave, and she wants to go back to Alaska, and for basically her last moment, see these birds that live on the cliffs, and the
Hmm.
eggshells just drop in the ocean. She gives this beautiful, you can see it in your mind before they bring it to you on the
Yeah.
screen. And those are the moments in this movie that are top notch.
Yeah.
Problem is, then you have that spaces in time that is too long, where you just have Frances McDormand's character either working in Amazon or working at cleaning restrooms, and
Hmm.
it just seems very long, and that's where you lose the pace, and you really lose the humanity of this movie, because it's just her, which I get
I
why
get
they
it. Yeah.
did that. I get it. I don't necessarily like the
I don't think
length
it's
that they did
executed.
it.
Yeah, I don't think it's
No,
executed as well as we would want it to be.
no, no. I'd much rather like had have more of these real people
Yeah.
interacting with her, which is what makes this movie
Yeah.
which makes this movie good.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like I think that it's not execute. I don't mean by like execute the way we want it to be executed, because then I would have to make the movie. I mean as it's not executed as effectively as it should.
Yeah,
I get it. Those are moments that we are supposed to be reflecting on. Basically the failures of capitalism. Look at this mega corporation that is having all these people live at what's called work here, and all that they can afford is a van.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I also
but
think with Frances McDormand's character, where you lose that thing, is she can't stay in a house.
no,
She
no,
can't be around other people.
yeah,
Like that. Like I said, she has kind of PTSD from when she lost her husband, and
yeah.
she just cannot deal with people for a long time, and so she just leaves.
And I really thought she was gonna stay that day, that night. She was gonna stay with him. I think that was just me being wishful, wishful thinking, right? Because
Yeah, because
she wasn't
the
ready for that. She wasn't ready for that.
and she probably will never be, and that's just who her character was, is someone who just um, has to be alone.
Yeah. So what's it called? Yeah, Chloe Zhao is directing Marvel's Eternals, which, by the way, Chloe Zhao has some incredible direction in here. Really, like, if I'm going to praise anybody enough, it's going to be the cinematographer in Chloe Zhao,
Yeah,
because the direction in cinematography and how much we can linger on some of those shots, and how much we're given time to really digest what we're seeing is really important. And I think that Zhao does an incredible job there. I think that it's just a bit of a. I think that it's just the pace. It's paced pretty like rough. It's paced rough. It's like it feels like it doesn't feel like we're moving really. Even though we're moving a lot, it doesn't feel like we're moving
well,
at a pace that is
and you think about it, that's kind of where the character is in this. It's like, okay, she's working at Amazon, then she's working at this other place, then she's back at Amazon. She's really not going anywhere.
hmm
She's not. Which, you know, again, I say I get what Chloe Zhao was going for and
yeah,
what she was representing with this character, but you're right. The pacing is just
really
off.
off. It's really off. For a movie that wasn't 2 hours, it felt very much like 2 hours.
It felt very long, yeah,
Yeah.
and it didn't necessarily keep my attention the whole time. And really, the only time like it really kept my attention was when you had real people talking to her.
Yeah. Now, next week when we review Minari, I've got somebody to talk about when we're talking about that best actress race. Cause Lord, Yeah, I've got a lot to say next week for Minari. But yeah, I think that also I think this was a little bit like I don't think I built this movie up in my head, but I was also just like there was a lot of talk.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of award talk for this movie.
yeah, the other one that there's a lot of award talk is Promising Young Woman
Hmm.
that we have yet to watch as well. Probably the following week we'll be talking about that one. You know, they're also right now just because it was just released. There's also talk about Vanessa Kirby and Pieces of a Woman that I need to watch as well, and we can review that somewhere down the line as well. But you know, I think that when I went into this, I was just like, okay, let me see what apparently is being touted as like the second coming. You know, and I just figured I just thought it was just fine. It was good. Like it wasn't bad at all. It
No,
wasn't bad
but
at all.
but it wasn't to me like how much they were hyping it up.
Yeah, I mean, this was no, this wasn't a. I'm no longer here. Wasn't a Bakurao to me. This was, and especially because I just rewatched Bakurao,
Hmm.
and that thing deserves my number two spot for
Uh,
sure. Yeah,
and I mean the Bacurau is probably a good one to compare it with because there's a lot of just those natural shots
yeah, and there's a
in
lot
that.
of time that you need to take in Bakurao that it allows you to what's it called to dissect the area that you're getting to know and really
It,
understand the location and understand the atmosphere of these people.
yeah, I don't think this would really change my list any.
Yeah,
I think I'm thinking of indie things would still be
yeah.
up there as my favorite, and I think Mank just in overall, and it's hard to compare this one with Mank because Mank is this
Mhm.
huge kind of movie that's just grand and everything, and this one is a very trimmed down,
Mhm.
stylized movie for what
Here,
it
if you
is.
guys want to see where it lands on my list, I don't want to show you the top because it would give you spoilers about my review of what's it called, Minari next week. But what's it called my 10 was of course Mole Agent, The Five Bloods, all those, right?
Hmm.
Uh, not what's it called, Nomadland landed at number 19, right below
Onward.
Onward and right above Tiger Tail, which I
I
would
can see
probably
that.
I would need to rewatch Tiger Tail because
I
I'm sure
I
that
I, I can see that though.
yeah,
Because Tiger Tail had its issues as well.
yeah. But still, I think that Tiger Tail hits on a grander depth but it's just I think it's just a movie that I need to rewatch too.
Yeah,
But it hits at number 19 out of the 32 movies I've watched last year. So
still better
yeah,
than the Tax Collector for sure.
fucking better than the Tax Collector. I still can't get over my review of the Tax Collector. Ay caramba, this was
Eesh,
bad.
this Tax Collector was horrid.
Yeah. Um, So, without further ado, I mean, unless you have anything to say, Brad, the music was really good too.
The music in
Yeah,
specific scenes like
music.
incredible.
Yeah,
Like there's stuff that this film does amazingly well, but it does have that pacing issue. And
yeah,
a pacing issue can always make a great movie just good.
yeah, yeah. And it's wild because we bring up Bakurao. Bakurao is 2 hours and 12 minutes,
Yeah, I
and
don't feel like it, especially that second
that's
half.
second half.
That
Yeah,
that first half maybe, but
but damn,
that first half is leading into that second half, and that second half is just like holy shit.
shit. Oh yeah, yeah. That last hour, God damn.
Woo.
Oh man, but for sure, I still recommend you all watch Nomadland when it releases. What's it called in the United States? I'm sure there will be a video on demand of it, or if you can still find a virtual screening of it on the Film at Lincoln Center, if they do one before, you can go ahead and watch it there. But what's your score for Nomadland, Brad?
I'm just gonna say don't ask for our sources, and I give it a 7 out of 10.
All right, I go ahead and give it like a 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, it's around there. Yeah, it's not bad at all.
No, no. I mean, if you kind of like that documentary style
Yeah.
of movie,
Oh yeah. If
this is
you like
good.
that documentary style, this one's gonna do it for you.
Yeah,
Like,
this one's good. Like if you like documentary style, but it has its issues.
Yeah, yeah.
But honestly, just watch it for
God, those,
Bob, Linda, and Swanky.
yeah, Bob and when it's like, and David too. My heart broke when
Oh,
David truly just wanted, a friend, right?
companionship in a way,
Companionship, and
and he
he just
kept
want, yeah,
she just couldn't do it.
yeah,
And
it,
that scene where he's helping her, like she even says, "Don't help me," because
yeah.
that's just who she is, and he still goes to help her, and then all her plates break, and it's
Yeah.
just like,
But to be fair, it would have happened to her. Like it was gonna happen to her.
yeah,
It was gonna drop.
but it wouldn't have been. She wouldn't have put it on him.
Yeah. So that scene really broke my heart too. I was like, like David's coming over because he really wants that companionship and he enjoys your company, and he just
He
he just
seemed like
wanted
a
to,
really nice guy. He really
yeah,
did.
yeah. So yeah, that really sucked, man. But yeah, that scene really really broke my heart. I was like,
That one really hurt. And then
yeah,
when she was taking care of him in the hospital,
oh yeah,
that was kind of cool. But
yeah,
yeah, she's just in a place mentally that she can't be around people.
yeah,
That's really the
yeah.
total of it.
Yeah, I hope that Chloe Zhao doesn't stay in the Marvel game too much. Please do more. Like, please improve upon this. Do more about this because truly, I want to see her work a lot more with stuff like this. Like, this was beautiful.
Especially when you get people in there that are real. Like
Yeah,
that's what amazes me is, and we've seen it before. Some
yeah.
of the best actors aren't actors.
Ryan actors are real people. Yep. So yeah, thank you all so much for coming in. Stacy is the only one in chat, so thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy.
We always love you, man. We're
Hmm.
awesome. So thank you, Stacy, for stopping by. As always, we want to thank our Patreon supporters. If you want to get this episode on podcast form early before it premieres on Saturday, you can go over to patreon.com/thenerdcore and sign up for the $1 tier or above. And as always, we want to thank our producers, our writers, and our showrunner. As always, we want to thank our associate producers, Cassie and Sarah. Thank you so much. We want to thank our executive producer, Shane. Where can they follow
You,
him, Brett?
you can follow our friend Shane at twitch.tv/xsrk or on Twitter at xsrk_.
Yep. And as always, our writers, Brown Rice 96 on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, everywhere. Thank you, Bryce, for being a wonderful writer of the show. And we promise to you, we will be getting your Transformers films. Transformers, no. God, no. Bryce, if you ever ask us to watch the Transformers films, I'm refunding you on the spot.
Only Bumblebee.
Uh, only Bumblebee. Yeah. What's it called? Terminator films. And also, our wonderful Tony
Hey, Tony.
at Real Nerdy Dad on Twitter. Thank you so much, as always, guys. And yeah, we'll catch you guys on Monday live on twitch.tv/the Nerdcore as we review the next film in our Federico Fellini month as we look at the 1960 film La Dolce Vita. And then on Thursday, we will be doing our review of Lee Isaac Chung's Minari. So, without further ado, it's been a wonderful time. And Brad, set him out.
All right, Roll. Thank you, being host as always. Thank you to all our wonderful listeners and Patreon supporters. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to Stacy for joining us in Twitch chat. That is also appreciated. And I guess to end this, I will just say stay safe out there. Check on your friends. Um, we will get this through this together.
Mm-hmm.
And we will not let fear and hate overcome who we are. Young Yoda out.